Uninformed immigrants are at a huge disadvantage in court, in financial and legal matters, and also sometimes in life. Well, what can we do about it? I'll tell you what. We can train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to maximize their lives regardless of their immigration status. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. I am your immigration lawyer and host, Otis Landerholm, and this is the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. All right, hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. And let me ask you a question today, why do you do what you do? Why do you do it? Have you ever stopped and thought about it? And I've been thinking about this question. I read a lot of books and people ask me all the time, hey, why is a white guy, why is a gringo, why is a Norteamericano like you practicing immigration law? Why does immigration law matter to you? And so I've got to answer that question, right? And often I answer it explaining that I've traveled in a lot of places and I believe in the freedom of movement, all right? And I loved traveling. I want to encourage everybody to travel. I actually think that the world is a better place because we have people who are immigrants. Plus my wife's an immigrant. Plus I've got two little sisters who were adopted from the Congo in Africa. It's like I've got immigration around me. I've lived in lots of different places, right? But it's like, okay, that's one answer. Oh, that's one answer. But it's like, okay, abogado, hey, why, you could just be an immigration lawyer. Why did you have to start a law firm? Why do you feel compelled to grow the law firm to the level that you've grown it? You have 19 employees, all right? Another employee started this week. We're looking for 3 others simultaneously right now, all right? Why do I do that? And I'm not just a lawyer. I've started this podcast, the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. I've written a book called The Empowered Immigrant, right? I do live casts. I do all this other stuff. I do a client success summit for our clients to empower them to make the most out of their lives. Why do I do that? All right. And, it's an interesting question. I've got to ask myself that question. I encourage you to ask yourself, why do you do what you do? And often when we reflect on that, it's like, hey, let's look at when we were children. And let's look at our relationships with our parents, okay? And how we got love and how we got security, how we got self-esteem when we were young children. Because something in that creates who we are. All right. And for me personally, I always looked up to my father. My father was the pastor of a church. All right. He was a community leader. What he wanted is he wanted to have an impact. He wanted to do good in the world and to have an impact on his community. All right. And he did that, and he did that very well. But have you ever learned about a hero of yours? Did you ever have a hero as a kid who, you learned about their dark side also? Okay. At the end of the day, or not, it's not the end yet, right? But a few, maybe 10 years ago, my father cheated on my mom. All right. He had an affair. They got a divorce. As a result of that, he stopped being the pastor of his church. As a result of that, he has lost, he kind of has had a tragic period in his life. And that experience, seeing that as his son, I love my dad, right? Let me just say that. I love my father. Dad, if you're listening to this, I love you. Like, I don't doubt that for a second, right? I do. You were a fantastic father. And, and I learned something, I learned something, watching my father go through what he went through has taught me the importance of integrity, the importance of putting my relationships, like really looking at how I am in my relationship with my wife and prioritizing that really over everything. All right. And I also see that part of that, it's like, I want to prove that I can be a man with tremendous impact and at the same time be a man of integrity. I want to prove it. All right. That's like a fundamental mission that I have inside of my head. I want to prove that I can have a tremendous impact for good in the community and in the world, and at the same time be a man of integrity. I know that it can happen. There are lots of people in the world that have done it. All right. And I'm going to make it happen. All right. The other side of me comes from my mom. And the other side of you comes from your mom too, whatever relationship you may have had with your mom. And when I was a child, right, I remember a time where we had all moved up to Alaska. And so I lived 7 years of my childhood in Alaska. And, the winters are long in Alaska. There's snow there. You don't see the sun very much at all for like 9 months. All right. It's like dark and cold. And it was rough. I believe I remember this. I was like 4 years old. And so some of my earliest memories were from up there. And I believe that first winter when I was 4 years old, my mom was depressed. All right. And I believe that I took it upon myself. To try to make her happy. And I took it upon myself that my persona, who I am as a person, right, is I am here to help others, all right, to empower others through dark times. I am here to help others navigate or get out of, not like depression or sadness or challenges or life-threatening times. Like, I was trying to, in my own 4-year-old head, be creative, be silly, make funny jokes, do whatever I could do to help my mom through a challenging time. And part of that has become I want to help people, all right? I want to help people who are going through a seriously challenging time. I want to try and help them through it. I want to empower them through it, all right? And so I really think that who I am in large part stems from where I was as a child, all right? And so I ask you, why do you do what you do? Why? And where does that stem from? And look at your relationships with your father or your father figure or your absence of a father figure. And where does it stem from your relationship with your mother or your mother figure or your absence of a mother? And how has that, created the who you are, the why you are? And think about it. And here's the thing, embrace it. Embrace it. Be thankful for it. Like, it's given you the fuel to get you to where you are right now. All right? And if you can embrace it and have it fuel you further, it can take you wherever you need it to go. All right? That's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm Otis Landerholm, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Podcast.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered Immigrant Podcast. If you like what you heard and if you want to learn more, please go to landerholmimmigration.com/podcast.